Welcome back to another episode of Busy at Work. This is officially episode 6. This is so exciting to keep this moving. I have gotten really warm reception from my past episodes, and I've gotten one up every single week, so that's been awesome. Thank you for helping me stick to that. And you can now listen to this on Spotify. I almost said Shopify. I always do that. You can now listen on Spotify as well as Apple. And if you're looking for more information, you can always visit the blog. And I'm really stoked to have you here. This is going to be a great episode. I've got some cool products to show you, especially with Valentine's Day coming up. And I also have some really cool news to share. And then we're going to dive into creating a diversified marketing experience, especially for a brand within cannabis, and why that's so crucial to your longevity as a brand. Thank you for tuning in again. I'm so happy you're here for another episode of Busy at Work. Thank you for joining, and let's dive in. Okay, so I have one really big cool thing to show you, and then I have a really tiny cool thing to show you. So we'll start here. This is the Graft vaporizer. I personally have not been really using cartridges in like 2 years. Ever since all that stuff happened too, it just hasn't really been for me. And I got this Graft to try, and it's really cool because it's Bluetooth connected, and it shows you online how much you're smoking, what your draws are, what's in the cartridge exactly, like down to every single terpene, like minuscule percentages. It's really cool, and the draw is really nice, and it's very sleek and easy to use. So I really enjoy this. I have not recommended any type of cartridge or anything in a very long time to anyone. So I've just personally been really enjoying this. I'm actually about to go pick up some garlic cookies cartridges today that I finally found. It took 3 dispensaries and 2 delivery services, and I finally found them. So I'm really stoked to try them. This right now is a lemon haze sativa dominant, I believe, and it's really nice. Here, I'll show you how it works. It's perfect for on the go, or if you're more of a low dose consumer. I really like this, especially for just, those like ups throughout the day, or if I'm having like a bad flare up, especially the garlic cookies are going to come in handy. So I'm stoked for that. This is Graft. Really big fan of this type of cartridge and the technology behind it. I think that's going to be so crucial moving into this next phase of kind of like mainstreaming and having more people understand what they're consuming and understand their consuming habits. I love watching my data and being like, oh, like that's interesting. That day I was actually in more pain, and so I was smoking more that day, or like this day I didn't experience that bad of flare-ups. It's all been kind of around like my pain and stuff, so it's been really interesting to see like when I'm smoking more or less, and just how I'm consuming. It's very cool. So if you want to know more about your smoking habits, I absolutely recommend the Graft. Very data driven. Next, just in time too for Valentine's Day, if you are looking to make some baked goods for either yourself, gotta treat yourself well, or your special someone, I have an Ardent Nova FX, and I've had this for a little bit now, but I wanted to show it to you guys just because I've never showed it on this podcast, and it is such a cool product. So this is it's a decarboxylator, and basically you put your product in at the top in there, and you go down here to the control center, and you can use the controls to decarb your flower, whether it's THC or CBD even, and it activates it so that you can put it into an edible or a tincture, or you can just use it right out. You don't even have to like infuse it or bake it or anything, but I absolutely love this. I've made some incredible butter, some infused MCT oil. I even made my birthday cake in this. I have really experimented in here. I think the only thing I haven't made is gummies, which is something I'm going to have to try out soon, but I love this. It gives, the thing that I love about this most is that it gives the consumer control. And in cannabis, the consumer does not have a ton of control. There's like dispensary products are expensive. It gets to be very, very monetarily consuming to be a cannabis consumer. And so this just helps your product last longer. It gives you more control over your infusion process. And honestly, like the butter and tinctures I've made with this have been really, really strong. And I know exactly what's in it. I know exactly what I'm putting in, especially if I trust the people I'm getting flour from. There's no questions, no concern, and you are, especially if you're a patient or a heavier consumer, this is a perfect product for you. I swear, it's great. All right, well, I'm going to have to move into news. I could honestly talk about the Ardent all day, but please check it out. Their owner also is amazing, Chanel. Everything about it. Do it, love it, check it out. It's great. All right, let's dive into some news. The biggest news coming out of the cannabis world this week is that Virginia, of all states, their General Assembly has legalized cannabis. And so right now we're just waiting for the governor to sign off. They're thinking that dispensaries could be opening as soon as 2024. And the way that they structured this bill, it does sound like money from the tax revenue is going to go through mental health services and education. So I really hope that that continues and that we are able to see, good policy for that in Virginia. They're going to be the first southern state, I think, to be fully legalized once this passes through and is officially signed. I'm sorry, it is passed through. It just has to be signed. So I'm from that area. I'm from the DMV. I was raised in Maryland and in DC, and you did not want to be caught in Virginia with anything. That is a crazy state for that. It's two different worlds in Virginia. You have Northern Virginia, which is closer to DC, a little more I don't know how to say this diplomatically. It's different. It's just different. If you are from that area, you know what I mean. I love Virginia. There's no hate. Just certain parts of the state are very, very southern and have a very older, more conservative mindset. Anyone who's like from Virginia listening to this is probably like, oh my God, just say what you want to say. Basically, no, like it can be pretty racist, and definitely cannabis laws were used to, incarcerate especially people of color in that state and black people. And yeah, that's it. That I said it. I put it out there. So Virginia, props to you for moving forward and creating policy that serves the people of your state and will also help fund all these other services, especially mental health services and addiction services. That's so, so important. And to see a southern state making progress there is huge. That's going to really set the bar and set the tone for other states, other southern states to, progress there. It's going to be really, really important, especially for people in those areas, to have access to this kind of medicine. It's crucial. So if we're going to keep pushing this forward, seeing the South rise to the occasion in the right way is really, really incredible to see. And I can't really believe that in my lifetime I'm watching the state of Virginia legalize cannabis. I don't think a lot of people understand how crazy that is. Or maybe you do, but it's pretty wild. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of there. And, you know, it's a really, really big sign of progress and where this could be going. So all eyes on Virginia as this moves forward, and hopefully we'll be seeing some sales soon in that state. So stay tuned. I'm definitely going to be like, hey friends, what's good over there? To anyone I know who's still living there. So I'm excited to watch that and you know, watch it grow. It's a really exciting time. That leads me though to this this idea of diversified marketing in cannabis, because it is inherently federally illegal. And when we're talking about something that is so gray area and different states have different laws, when you're operating within cannabis, whether you're plant touching or not, your marketing strategy has to be extremely, extremely different because you're in a regulated industry. And a lot of people, especially today, rely on digital media, specifically social media, to raise brand awareness and get sales, which is great. That's awesome. It's so cool to see so many brands taking social media seriously. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to own your customers and own that data when it's in a third-party platform like, you know, one of these social media apps, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. At the end of the day, you don't own that content or that data. And so it's really, really important when you're working in cannabis, in marketing, to create a very diversified strategy to help your brand and help maintain your brand and create longevity there, because right now it's a long game. A lot of this is waiting. A lot of this is, you know, watching states like Virginia make progress here while you're working on whatever it is to keep your brand moving through this system. In my experience, it is so crucial to have that diversified strategy, because in cannabis, you never know when pages can go down, whether it's your own page or pages of your partners that might be doing promotions for you. It is so crucial to stay in the loop and stay in the know on that. And at Daily High Club, I mean, I've been doing this for over 4 years now. I have seen so many deletions, so much content being taken down. I have seen like kings and queens of cannabis, you know, their pages and stuff just disappear, and overnight that presence is gone. And sometimes they don't work to build it back. A lot of people get really burnt out from this, and, you know, I understand. And so at Daily High Club, we've dealt with issues like this, where, you know, a few years back, there was like a YouTube purge, basically, where tons of content creators, educators, and influencers overnight, just like that, off of YouTube. Not like, you know, strikes or anything, just their full pages completely taken down. Some people are still only just getting back their pages recently from that entire purge. Like that's insane. And so after that really showed me, I was like, wow, like we cannot rely on social platforms to build our audience, or at least not permanently. Like you have to have places that you're able to connect with your audience if, God forbid, every single one of your social pages came down. And so there's ways to foster that too, whether it be now through SMS, you can text people, you can get their phone numbers, through a newsletter, through different community forums and chat rooms such as like Slack, Discord, Telegram. There's a lot of really incredible platforms and software services out there now that help you as a brand and a business maintain that relationship with your customers outside of social media. And I know it's so attractive to have this like huge Instagram following, all these Twitter followers, all these TikTok followers, all these views, and it does help. It's not, you know, for naught. It's not for nothing, but it also has to be extremely goal oriented, because if you're just, you know, posting content and stuff, you have to feed a monster. It's a monster, especially for the demand in which we need to create quality content consistently, I mean, that is such a time and energy and resource suck. And so make sure that you are being intentional and goal oriented with your different presence on various platforms. And especially for a lot of smaller businesses, you don't have to be everywhere. It's actually less strategic for you to be everywhere until you're able to manage those pages, because as soon as you start building those communities and stuff, you have to maintain them. That way you can foster that funnel to get them from social into your newsletter, onto your website, into an SMS platform, so that you can converse with them more directly. And that's always the priority for me, at least, when we're talking about how to use social in cannabis, and also just using it in a way that it's not your primary funnel for sales, because it's just too volatile. It really is. You never know when it can be taken down. That's why you see people with backup pages. That's why a lot of influencers, when you work with them, it's so hard to track, because a lot of people can't mention pricing or discount codes or point to websites with 21 and up age gates. There's a lot of nuance there, and a lot of rules that there are to follow to maintain a page that can live through the scrutiny of these people who are checking content and looking for stuff to delete and things that do violate their community guidelines. And so it's all about finding that sweet spot to be able to remain operational while still staying true to your messaging and brand and story, but also making sure that you're playing safe with all these social platforms. It's very difficult, and that is why this has become such a huge topic of conversation, and diversifying your marketing and how to do that, because it all goes back to your goals as a business. Like, I can sit here and pretend to tell you exactly what platform you need, exactly what social media you should be on, and what type of content you should be doing, but that's so personal to each brand and business. It really is. And so as you're approaching social media and you're approaching your brand on social media, make sure that you have a goal there. Make sure that you have a way to own your customer data and a way to foster that community in a place where it's not as at risk to being shut down, because I cannot say this enough. I have been through that heartbreak. I have watched, huge percentages of sales dip because that funnel overnight just died. So as we wrap up today's podcast, just remember these 3 things when you're looking into social media for your brand or business within cannabis. Make sure that whatever you're doing is totally goal-oriented. All of your actions are feeding back into whatever that goal is, so that you're constantly aligned. And then also own your customer data. Find a way to get them off of social media and more into your brand environment. That is so, so crucial. And then lastly, always maintain your community. Find places like Discord, Telegram, and a few others that I've mentioned where you can foster that outside of social. And it's not something where you have to go on like Instagram Live or whatever. You can do that. You can have conversations with people. You can do other things through forums and stuff. There's so many ways. Just, you got to get a little creative and do some research. I promise you, it's the right thing to do, and it's a lot of work. It does take more resources. It can take more manpower. But the whole point is protecting your brand and protecting your presence and making sure that you're positioned for the long term, and that your infrastructure is built out in a way that years from now you own this audience and you own that data, and it's not just on some third-party platform that we don't even know if it's going to last. Like, I mean, think of the amount of social media platforms that we are dead now or don't use or whatever, have gotten sold or something. We have no control over that. We have no control over the censorship. We have absolutely no say. And so it's so crucial to make sure that you are collecting that information and you are keeping it and you are maintaining your brand for the long-term success. I know we got this. We can do it. It's going to be good for you. So I am like cheering you on. You got this. It'll be great. I know it's a lot of work. I just gave you guys a lot of work if you weren't already doing this before or thinking in this mindset. But in cannabis, just creating diversified presence and owning your data is one of the most important things you can do right now. So that wraps up today's episode. I hope that you all have a beautiful week. Thank you for continuing to join me and tune into this podcast. Again, you can listen on Spotify and Apple now, and I will see you all next week. And don't forget to check out, especially the Ardent. I really do love this. It really is. I really adore it. So, as you can see. Make sure you check it out. And, let me know if you have any feedback or any other things you'd like me to expand on. I'm hoping to set up some interviews soon. And hopefully we'll get that for, one of the next few episodes. We'll see what happens. This has all been so fun and exciting. So thank you for joining. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye.